Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Homestead today. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And today's subject here for another episode of Porch Talk is going to be in regards to more chaos and disruptions ahead. So I hope you enjoy today's video. And as always, if you're not a subscriber, if you want to help our channel, hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, click the little bell icon after you subscribe and you'll be notified. Also, if you'd like to leave a comment, we always enjoy and love reading the comments. We've had such really good comments and we appreciate everybody, and also a thumbs up helps us as well. Well, we'll get right on into today's subject. And folks, 2020, this has been quite the year. This has been a roller coaster year here. And we're in October, but it makes you wonder what is next. What could possibly happen next? I heard someone say that if 2020 ever slows down, they're going to get off and walk. One time I took a ride on Thunderation at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri, if you're familiar with that place. And we got up there, and with some friends of ours. They had young kids, teenage kids, and they wanted to ride this roller coaster called Thunderation, I believe was the name of it. I'm not a roller coaster person. I'm not in for that stuff. But they kept on, said, oh, it'll be fun, said, you'll enjoy it. So Josie wouldn't ride, but I said, okay, I'll ride. Well, it ended up that their son had to sit in the back of the roller coaster, and he was sitting backwards. They had seats where you would ride it the wrong direction. So they said he needs somebody to sit with him. So I sat with him, and we rode that roller coaster. And folks, I was ready to get off. And I just closed my eyes. I mean, it was up and down, around, very fast. And when we got to almost to the end of it, they start up this real steep grade, and it's going click, 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 and it's bringing the roller coaster up. And I thought, oh no, we're fixing to go down the grand finale here. And about that time, they stopped, and they said, you can get out. I was ready, I tell you. They wanted to ride it again. I said, there's no way. And I certainly will not ride again backwards. But I feel like we've been in 2020. It's been a roller coaster, and we have been riding it backwards this year. But nonetheless, I want to tell you a little bit today about why I feel there's going to be chaos and more disruptions ahead. I hope I'm wrong. And also what we're doing to prepare, and maybe this would help you as well. But we're having an election coming up, and this should apply no matter if you're a Democrat or Republican or independent. And I'll tell you, folks, I have visited with people around. I get to see a lot of folks, and everyone that I have talked to, I don't know that there's been an exception yet, but everybody that I have talked to is very concerned. I have lots of friends that are Democrats. I have a lot that's Republicans. I have a lot that are independent or don't know what they are. And I tell you, I've got some people that I know that really could care less who's president. They're not going to go vote. They don't want to get involved with it. They could care less about all that stuff. But they are very concerned with the turn of events and the way our country is headed. And I have to say I am too. And one thing is, this election coming up, I believe, is going to cause chaos and disruptions. And I hope I'm wrong, like I say, but I'm preparing for the worst and hoping and praying for the best. One of the things is the news media. I believe the news media is stirring the pot. They never heard this, let sleeping dogs lie, or the more you stirs poop, the more it'll stink. And our leaders do the same thing. Our president does it. Biden does it. They stir it. They're trying to get things going more and more. But the news media, I believe, is backing an agenda. And what they're trying to do is bad for our country. In fact, they're even talking about they want to limit, and they already are doing it, and they want to pass laws where social media where I could not talk about these top subjects that I'm talking to you about and give you my personal opinion of things, because they need their fact checkers, the people that's going to check all the facts. Do you believe the news media checks the facts? Also, I'll tell you how I like to get my news. I like to look and listen to, if it's Donald Trump, if he's giving a speech, I like to listen to him. I don't need all these pundits telling me. Most of the time, what I like to do is later catch the video on YouTube of the president speaking, the whole entire video, look at it, and then make a judgment. The same with Biden. I listen to him a lot because I want to know what they're for and where they stand. And, you can learn a lot from a person just by listening to them. The Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So listen to what they have to say. But when they get through, you get these news media people that want to tell you what you just heard. And I'm thinking, I heard what I heard, and what you're trying to cram down my throat right now is you're trying to sugarcoat it, or you're trying to sour coat it, whichever, to please their agenda. I've got enough sense to know when somebody is lying to me. I have enough sense to know when someone's got their bluff over me. Now, I know some people don't have that, but I have a discernment. I'm able to discern things, and I've dealt with people over the years. I know. But anyway, just for instance, the other day, someone told me, said, Joe Biden lies. And, and I'm a Trump supporter, so or planning to vote for him. But I said, I believe you ought to tell the truth about it. I said, the other side lies too. Trump lies too. And I have heard him say things that were not true. And I've heard Joe Biden say things. So as far as the truth monitor, neither one of them has it. But certainly the news media, in my opinion, are not good fact checkers, but they want to shut down social media. Now, they claim that it's because Russia and some of them, they put little things on Facebook and things and try to stir the pot, and they claim they did that in the last election and stuff. But I don't think that's what makes a difference. I'm certainly not controlled by Russia or anybody else. I just give my personal opinion. And I know there's fake stuff. There's fake stuff on social media, but there's fake stuff in the news and things that just absolutely they will say, and they'll take a little tidbit of something and twist it to turn their narrative, and they falsify it. And you can do that. You can do that with about anything. But anyway, and I mentioned this before, you can even do it with the Word of God. There's people that'll take one little context and twist the Word of God into a fake meaning. Something that fits their narrative. If they're selling a book, they're selling something, needing offerings, whatever. There's preachers that do that. Most preachers are good people. Most ministers of God, I believe, have honest, clear conscience. They're walking uprightly before God. But you'll have a few that aren't. And that has always been, just like police officers. I believe most police officers are wonderful, credible individuals. But you'll have a few bad eggs in every basket. There's going to be a few people that are not good. But I just like to listen to the people and get the facts, what you would say straight from the horse's mouth. But I feel our news media is trying to stir the pot and keep things going to the point that, for instance, one of the things that is a big concern is they keep having these polls that they give out, and they say that Donald Trump is trailing Biden. Now, that may be real, that may be true. The problem that I see is when you look at the analytics of the debates, or not the debates, but the polls, they'll usually do about 25% Republican and 75% Democrat. And I think it's so polarized. Well, of course, you're going to get more people saying they're going to vote for Joe Biden if you ask 1,000 people and 750 of them are registered Democrats and 25 or 250 of them aren't. You see 25%, and they're for Trump. If you did it the other way, you would get opposite results. If you said, I'm only going to survey 25% of the Democrats, and 75% of them is going to be Republicans, then you would get the opposite results. So I don't believe people have changed their minds. I'm not campaigning asking you to change yours. I think people have set their minds who they're going to vote for. But when it comes, but I do not believe that Trump is that far behind or behind at all. I actually feel that Trump is probably ahead in this election. In fact, I've not talked to one person here. You know, we're in the state of Oklahoma. It will go for Trump, big time. We've had big boat parades. I haven't participated in them. I don't have time for that stuff, but people have gone and participated. People's put videos and told. A friend of mine works up here at a big boat dock, and he said, you wouldn't believe all the boats that was out here and how neat they were that came out for Trump. Oklahoma will go for Trump, but hands down, that's just how it's going to be. And it'll be a big margin, probably the biggest amount that we've ever went in an election. But Oklahoma only has a few electoral votes. They don't even stop here. Trump has come here to Oklahoma past year, and done a rally back sometime maybe this year or last year, whenever. He did come and do a rally here in Oklahoma. It was a big deal. But this really isn't even a beep on their radar. They know Biden knows which way it's going to go. Trump knows any fighting. So it's the battleground states. But because they have made it look so much like that Biden has it in the bag, he's going to win. If Trump happens to win, okay, don't care which side of the aisle you're on, if Trump wins the election, then there's going to be chaos, because people's going to say it was rigged, because they keep bringing in more and more of this Russia hoax, the Russian stuff. Folks, look at the facts about Russia. You can argue with me all you want to. Russia did not change one vote. They didn't hack into our system and do anything. If anything, Russia in the background, they would love to hack into our system and change. Some have talked about we need to get a computerized voting system. You have a passcode you set down, you enter your vote in the computer, you have your code, and you could just vote that way. That sounds good, but there can be hacking in that. I don't like the electronic. I think we need to go back to the old-fashioned paper ballots, or where you punched them out and then slide them in the machine. I know they had the hanging chads that year and stuff, but nonetheless, what's going to happen is people's going to say it was rigged. Russia has, on the last election, the only thing that they've been able to prove was that they did have this dossier they created, which actually was worked against Trump instead of anything else. It was used against him. It's still being used against him. But then the only other thing they've been able to prove was that they have backed things on social media, as far as putting up, you know how you see these little things that when you're going down through your daily feed, someone will have something on there and they'll say, Hillary said this, Biden said this, Trump said this, whatever. And you look at it on the face of it and you think, hey, that's a fact. That's true because it's on Facebook, but it's not. In fact, I had shared something once before, and a friend of mine that I went to school with commented to me and said, that is not true, and you need to look at it. And when I looked at it, it was a clip of one of the politicians, but it was used at a different campaign. It was taken totally out of context, so it was untrue what's being said. So be careful. And that stuff is backed by foreign entities to try to sway you in different ways. So I like to actually listen to the candidate. That's the best way. And you don't have to watch ahead of time or behind. You can go on YouTube. They had the debate on YouTube. They've had all of the speeches and things by both candidates on YouTube. unedited, just straight out. Now, there's people that edit them and they show you the highlights of what they want, but usually they're swayed one way or the other. I like to listen to the whole thing, get the whole deal. It's kind of like reading the Bible. If you read the entire Bible, from Genesis to Revelations, you get a better understanding of what God expects in His salvation and everything in a whole. You get all that better if you read the entire Bible. But some want to say, and I've had preachers tell me, all you need to study is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And maybe you could add in Acts and Romans, but that stuff, I want to read the whole Bible. I want to get it myself. And I know the Bible can be hard to understand, and just like this political situation can be very hard to understand. But I want to say something else. Let's say the other way happens, that Biden happens to win. Well, there is all of these folks that are going to be on the conservative side, Republican side, whatever side you want to call it. Some call it the cuckoo side. You call us what you want. But there's going to be people like myself that believes that the ballot boxes were padded. And what makes me think that? Well, for one thing, we've heard the president come out and say he's very concerned about these mass mail-outs of ballots. I'm going to tell you what I believe they should have done this year. Democrat, Republican states, whichever the case were, I believe what they should have done was both sides should have kept the elections the way they have been and not switched them around. Anyway, I think they should have left the elections like they were. Not made any big changes this year. I know they're doing it because of the COVID, but folks, people are going to Walmart, they're going everywhere else. They can vote. Also, here, I don't know how it is in other states, but you can request a mail-in ballot. Why not leave it like that? If you want to vote in an election, you're afraid to go because of COVID, why mail in and call your election headquarters, notify them, whatever you had to do, and say, hey, send me a ballot. I need a ballot so that I can vote in this election. Also here, they open up, I don't know if it's 30 days. We always go in person and vote. I think it's worth risking my life to vote. I think voting is the most important thing we have. In fact, I'm going to tell you, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, get out and vote. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. One of the most important things we can do is to get out and vote. Go vote. Let your voice be heard. But this is the thing. Here you can go vote early. If you want to go down to the courthouse, you can vote. They tell me that a lot of folks have went and voted and have told me that they have voted before in these elections, and they're like, I went down to vote and there wasn't anybody there in line or nothing, just the poll workers, and you can go in and vote real easy. I've had other people say they've gotten mail-in ballots that they requested. I don't know why you needed to mess with the election system, but because of that, especially if the election's real close, there's going to be people on the right that's going to say it is an unfair election. Now, I have always heard all of my life, every election, it seems like people say it was unfair. It was cheated on. Something was wrong. Seems like that's always been the case. But this year, it has become very, very heated. It also didn't help when Trump was asked, would he step down, have a peaceful transition, and he would not answer that clearly. When they had the vice presidential election, they're not vice president election, when they had the vice president debates the other day, it would have been nice for Pence when he was asked if it's clear that Joe Biden is the winner, would there be a peaceful transition? He brought in how that he hadn't been a peaceful transition for them at all for President Trump, but he should have said, but at the end, when this is all over, if it comes out that Biden is the clear winner, then yes, there will be a peaceful transition of power. And folks, we need that. We need that more and more. But people are going to, I feel like we're kind of like in a powder keg. just ready to explode here in our country. We've seen the what they called peaceful demonstrations that turned into rioting and civil discord, and where they burnt down buildings and caused all kinds of trouble, even deaths and beating people and things. We've seen this happen. So I believe that this could very well go very wrong after the election, one way or the other, that we're sitting on a powder keg ready to ignite. I read an article, I meant to bring it out here with me and didn't, but where they surveyed folks, and 61% of Americans believe we're on the verge of a civil war. Now, I'm not saying we're necessarily on the verge of a civil war, maybe, but I've talked to so many people, and I would say near 100% that I've talked to are very concerned about the trouble in our country and where it could lead us. No matter which side of the aisle they're on, they are very concerned. And I would say that's nearing 100%, whether they were Democrat or Republican, whatever. I know some very left-winging folks that are concerned about the turn of events and are concerned about what this election, but 60-some%, I think it was 61%, that surveyed believed we were on the verge of civil war. Now, if I would have been asked, I probably would have said, well, I don't know about civil war, but civil discord, civil chaos, yes, I very much believe we're on the verge of that. Then they said that 51 or 52% of those surveyed are preparing for it. They're getting ready for civil discord. And one of the things that's happening right now, if you may not realize this, but firearm sales are going crazy. Ammunition sales. I've got all the ammunition I need. I have all the firearms that I want. I'm not looking for more. So don't send me a bunch of stuff, tell me where to get more ammunition and all that stuff. But I'm just telling you, most of the stores around here, excuse me, are sold out. And certain firearms are very, very hard to get. So I'm going to tell you now what we're doing to prepare. One of the things is on the 4th of November, the day after the elections, I had an eye appointment with a specialist. And it's a follow-up thing, and I'm doing fine, and I don't even think I really need to go, but was planning on going. But now I have hesitations about going because it's in the city, one of our neighboring cities, and I am concerned about going there and what might happen the day after the elections. Now, some are saying that the elections may take a very long time to know for sure who the clear winner is. And that if that's so, some are even talking that it could go past inauguration date, which if that was the case, Nancy Pelosi would become president of the United States. I don't know who would be next in succession there to be the vice president, but she would be the president of the United States. So anyway, I don't think anybody on either side wants that. I think the best thing that could ever happen is for us to have a clear winner. And if the numbers that I have seen show Trump winning as far as electoral votes, that he will probably win that. But the popular vote, he probably will not win. And that's because of the big cities and stuff. And we see, if you ever look on a map, how it is on the east and west coast. And otherwise, the rest of the country, I believe, is all in red, usually pretty much. Most part of it is in blue, but it will give him enough electorals that he would win. Now, whether that happens or not, I'm not arguing none of that. I'm just telling you what I've seen and followed, that they do not believe that he would win the popular vote. So if that's true, that will cause discord. And it would be nice if one candidate would do like Reagan did and just run away with that second term, I believe it was, where he just ran away with the election and won such big time that there was no doubt at who the winner was. That's probably the only election that I ever remember wasn't stolen, or that they didn't claim was stolen. But, it puts concern in my mind on the elections before. I was like, because of the things that's said, the rhetoric that's said, that maybe perhaps they're, they put that doubt in your mind about if it's true or not, and you hear things. Just here lately, there's been things with the election where a postman was caught or a postwoman, whichever they are, a postal worker, I guess you should say, in this politically correct generation today. They threw away some of the ballots. We've seen where they've mailed out ballots, mass canvassing, like in New York State, where they have sent out that they left off the presidential candidates. And it's just crazy, weird stuff. That's why I say they should have left it alone, left it just like it has been. If they were going to change it, they should have started working on it the last election. Now there's folks saying, well, if they get, they want to change everything up. They want to change the Supreme Court and add more people to it. The Supreme Court's been like it is for a very long time. It's worked. We need to leave it alone. I will just throw this tidbit in. There are a lot of the what they call conservative justices that are getting old, and they're going to have to step down. And if the Democrats are in control, then they could replace who they wanted. They also, this elderly woman that just passed off of the Supreme Court, to me, she should have retired way back when Obama was president and let him replace her. And she didn't. She was stubborn to stay on. In fact, I'm just going to tell you, and I know I have a lot of you that's over 80-year-old that watch, but I don't think you need to be president, and I don't think you need to be as Supreme Court Justice if you get over 80 years old. That's just my opinion. I know the Supreme Court's a lifetime appointment, and that's based upon, I guess, the Constitution, but it still makes you wonder sometimes. But I wished our founders would have put in there that they would have a set amount of justices, either 5 or 9, and said this is how it will be, and not put that they could ever change the amount of people on there. But anyway, getting on with the subject, being prepared, I have thought about postponing my eye doctor appointment because of concern that there could be rioting and chaos either side. And, you could get, say, President Trump wins and those on the left are rioting. And we've seen what's happened in some of these major cities, so that's very scary. I'd hate to get caught in that. And then we ain't really seen what could really happen on the other side yet if chaos comes. There's some bad. Who wants to get caught up in all that stuff? That's scary business. So I'm like, either way the election goes, if Biden wins, there could be chaos as Trump wins, and I don't want to be somewhere away from home and get caught up into that stuff. So my idea is to you, or my thought is, or my recommendation is to do what we're doing, and we're going to try to hold up here at home. We'll let the ones that's going to go do chaos and stuff. If I had any word to tell everybody, sit back, be easy, and let this thing work out on its own. Either side you're watching, just sit back and relax and let it be what it be. Get up and go to work, whatever you do normally. If you are, whatever hobbies you got, go try to live a normal life if you can. But now if you have a doctor's appointment that's very important, you probably will have to do that regardless. But if there's something that you could avoid going and doing right after the election, I would probably, in fact, I'm thinking about not maybe postponing my eye doctor appointment thing with this specialist until maybe after the first of the year, until this is all cleared up. The problem is to get into this specialist for a follow-up, it takes about 90 days, so rescheduling is probably going to put me into after the first of the year anyway. But anyway, there's some things that are very concerning, and I think we're heading into some very scary and troublesome times, and being prepared. For instance, having some food and water put back, maybe fixing up your property a little bit, maybe securing your door hinges where your door couldn't be knocked down easily, fortifying your place. There's videos on that show doing this, but for instance, in your hinges, put some big old long screws where your hinges are, at least 1 or 2 if you do all of them. It makes it very, very hard. There's things where your deadbolt is. Somebody can come up and kick. On the average home, you can kick the door in and get in. There's other security measures you can take to keep someone from just breaking in your home and destroying your place. But, kind of safely, fortifying yourself, getting yourself prepared, and having some food and water and things in case where you live chaos breaks out. And I've had several comment to me. I don't know if they mean it as a threat on my videos, but they say if Trump wins, they're going to burn the country down. And I think that's just a few people talking, but that is very scary and concerning. But I'm making preparations for me and mine, and so we're getting ourselves ready. We've already been ready. We have a little food put back, a little water. And the government even recommends, so with all the other things going on, we could have another round of the Kung flu. We could have, when I mean another round, this one ain't even over yet, but it could escalate much, much larger than it is. And one thing we've noticed here is the death toll is going down. The hospitalizations is going down. Now, those that are testing positive has been going up, but the actual deaths and hospitalizations going down. And I'm thinking it's because they've learned how to treat folks and they're getting this thing kind of under control is my hope and desire. But, we still got to face that this winter. And, some of the politicians say if they were in control, they allude to the fact that they would shut the country down would be the best interest. And maybe it would be. I'm not arguing none of that. But if they did and I'm talking about to control the Kung flu, if they did shut the country down to control the virus, then what would happen to our economy? What would happen if you couldn't go work? What would happen if you couldn't survive? So those are things to begin to consider. And let's just say this. Let's say you kind of fortify your property. You do some security measures. Maybe if you needed another box of ammo for your pistol or whatever, you've gotten it. Whatever it is, you get kind of fortified. You get yourself prepared. And let's say nothing happens. One of the candidates wins, no rioting, no trouble. It just goes through and we continue on. Then what if you lost? If you got a little food put back, you got a warm house to live in, you fortified your place, you're set. You can, and then nothing else. And say it does happen, bad stuff. You can sit back and watch it all from the comfort of your recliner in your home and have food and stuff to eat on, and you don't have to get out and get involved with it. I don't want to get involved with any of that nonsense. And if you do, more power to you, but I don't. I want to be a peaceful person. And I want to tell you something too, folks. This is the most concerning time in my 51 years of life that I've ever seen. This 2020, I think, is the most concerning year I've ever seen as far as the things that have happened. All the storms, the virus, the political turmoil. This has been one of the worst years I have ever seen in my lifetime. Now, in my personal life, I have faced some very tough times that would outweigh what we've faced so far. But as far as the most concerning thing right now is very, very concerning. But I will tell you, folks, I believe this, that regardless of which candidate wins, we can and will survive by the grace and help of God, live righteously, and the hand of God, the blessings of God will be upon you. Don't worry about going and getting involved in all of the other stuff. Work on your own house. Prepare yourself. It starts at your place, but get yourself ready. If you fortify your home, and let's say nothing ever happens, well, you could fortify it from burglars. I'm not talking about putting bars over all the windows and doing all that stuff, although I know people that live in certain cities and certain parts of certain cities that they have to do that. I was at a home one time in a city near us, and when you come inside, the lady had steel doors that closed, steel doors over the windows. Had a fire ever happened in her home, she would have been trapped there. She had several padlocks on this steel door, and she had several on her house door, her main door of her home. And when you come in, she locked all those. To go back out to my vehicle, it took quite a bit unlocking all those locks. But she had to, because she had been broken into so many times. And she said, make sure your vehicle's locked. She said, I live in a bad part of town. That's scary. But if you fortify yourself and you're prepared, and let's say nothing happens, it'll help you on down the road. We don't know what next year's going to hold. We don't know what 4 years is going to hold. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow, and that's the Lord. And He will see us through this turmoil if we'll hang on to Him. He says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. Then He said all these other things will be added unto you. If we'll get our priorities right first, one of the first most important commandments is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and body. And the second, He said, was like unto it, and that was to love your neighbor as yourself. Did you know if everybody in the United States of America, no matter what political favor they're at, if they put those two first, we would see a transition in our country that would be a sweeping transition that has never, ever been seen before. Our jails would empty. We would see happiness and joy brought forth like we have never seen before. I know I don't mean to get on my soapbox and preach to you, but folks, I believe we need to turn back to God. And I know God holds tomorrow, and I know He'll take care of us. And God has given us wisdom and understanding to know what to do for what we see ahead. When you see the day approaching, and we see it coming, we know what the Word of God tells us is going to happen. People are going to get worse and worse, and I believe we're in it now, deep, and I believe we've been leading up to it the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. We've been maybe even much longer than that, but the past 3 or 4 years has been something else, and this year is the top, and I'm hoping 2021 will be a whole lot better, but I'm preparing for the worst once again, and I'm hoping and praying for the best. And I do appreciate you watching today. Be sure to tune in here every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock for another episode of Porch Talk. We appreciate you very much. God bless you, and we're gone.